Have you ever felt trapped in a golden cage where every like feels like a prison bar? What if I told you the king of rock discovered the secret to digital immortality decades before the internet, but the price was faking his own end?
That's right. In today's video, we're going to unmask how Elvis Presley's mind was hacked by the system and how you can use the king's branding to never be ignored again. Stay until the end because I'm going to give you the key to the independence that Elvis only found when the world thought he was gone.
Man, if we look at Elvis in the end, locked up in Graceland eating peanut butter and bacon sandwiches, we see his mindset totally glitched. The guy who had a purpose to change the world with his hips ended up a hostage to his own image. It's that classic burnout of someone who has everything but zero self-awareness to filter what's real from the crazy fans asking for autographs.
For real, Daniel. And his resilience was like an old iPhone battery. Lasted through the show but died right after. He had deep spirituality, always reading esoteric books, but lacked that basic discipline to stop Colonel Tom Parker from controlling even his thoughts. For today's kids, it's the same as being a slave to the algorithm. If you don't have focus, you're just a trend that's past its expiration date.
Exactly. And about creativity, the guy was a genius, but in the end, he was on repeat. He needed an awakening that never came. Or maybe it did and he just didn't pick up the phone. It's like wanting to be a successful influencer today, but keeping posting the same dance from last summer and thinking you'll grow. If you want to understand the weight of a brilliant mind under pressure, watch the documentary Elvis Presley, The Searcher on HBO. It's a gut punch regarding that lack of internal inspiration.
That's the price of success without a filter, right? He had this distorted optimism that things would just fix themselves. But look, the Elvis is alive myth is the ultimate proof that his legacy is so strong, people's brains refuse to accept the end of the line. Truth is, he died from the exhaustion of being Elvis, while you're dying from the exhaustion of faking a perfect life on Instagram. Which one is more tragic?
Spicy, Karen, but that's it. We get into a loop of wanting to please the audience and forget to check out our own sanity. It's the #1 lesson in personal development. If you don't master your mindset, your empire becomes a golden cage, and the only thing left is the urban legend that you're still alive buying bread in a Memphis bakery. Karen, lead the way to the next one because the king's isolation is already giving me anxiety triggers.
Daniel, we talk a lot about Elvis as an icon, but his communication was something bizarre, right? The guy didn't even need to open his mouth, just that side smirk, and he had the world in his hands. That's persuasion at its peak. But backstage, his leadership was kind of non-existent. He let the Memphis Mafia, those guys living off him, run the show.
For sure, Karen. The guy was an example of how not to be proactive in one's own career. In interpersonal development, he was a master of empathy, but failed miserably in negotiation. He accepted trash contracts because he hated conflict. You know those people today who can't unfollow an annoying relative just to avoid drama at Christmas? That was Elvis with Colonel Parker. He lacked active listening to hear those who actually cared, rather than those just after his money.
Exactly. And that lack of real collaboration turned Graceland into a bubble. He had the constant stimulus of yes men, but zero real feedback. If you want to be a leader today, having 1 million followers is useless if nobody tells you the truth. Want a practical, enabling social tip? Watch The Godfather. Michael Corleone is the polar opposite of Elvis in people management. Elvis wanted to be everyone's friend and ended up manipulated by everyone.
And his empowerment? It was fake news. He felt powerful on stage, but in a meeting room, he was a kitten. This is a classic personality flaw of the high-influence DISC profile. The need to be loved overrides the ability to decide. Nowadays, people mistake being low profile for being negligent. Elvis was the king of promotion, but a subject when it came to dropping the hammer.
It's that famous personal branding he built by accident. The icon was so big, he could no longer be human in his relationships. He became a product. And you? Are you the CEO of your life, or just the poster boy for a brand that isn't even yours? Pay attention, because progress only comes when you learn to say no, even to your best friend looking for a free ride on your success. Daniel, the next topic on morals is going to be heavy. The king had ethical dilemmas that would make for a great old Twitter thread. Current X, right?
Karen, talking about ethics in the rock world is almost an oxymoron, but Elvis had a very rigid and at the same time bizarrely contradictory character. The guy was obsessed with police badges, loved the idea of justice, but lived on legal prescription drugs. It's so Gen Z, discussing healthy lifestyle while chugging energy drinks and vaping all night. Where's the transparency with his own body?
Right, Daniel. His responsibility was to the show, but he forgot about personal integrity. He was a man of religious principles, yet he allowed Colonel Parker to pull super shady financial maneuvers. You know that influencer who promotes sketchy gambling apps but posts Bible verses on their feed? That was Elvis ignoring the red flags to keep the prosperity of the machine going.
And the worst part is he had an almost too generous character. He handed out Cadillacs like candy, but was that real kindness or a way to buy the loyalty of people he knew were draining his energy? It's a spicy debate. Is being nice without limits a lack of character or an excess of empathy? In today's corporate world, if you don't have boundaries, you're not ethical, you're just a rug with brand recognition.
Preach! And then there's that story of him offering himself to Nixon to be an undercover agent against drugs. Is that the height of hypocrisy or a desperate cry for purpose? He wanted to save the country but couldn't save himself from his own lack of chemical independence. If you want a real lesson, read The Picture of Dorian Gray. Elvis was the painting rotting away while the public image stayed flawless.
In the end, justice was served by time. He paid the price for not being the protagonist of his moral choices. Today, people cancel others for way less, but no one looks in the mirror to see if there's transparency in their own lives. The king was human, and humanity is this mess of grade A integrity on stage and a failing grade in the dressing room. Karen, let's wrap this up with results, because his legacy is the only thing that truly hasn't died.
Daniel, talking about results with Elvis is wild. The guy is the definition of commercial success. He didn't just achieve financial prosperity, he became an icon that prints money to this day. But if we look at real productivity at the end of his life, it was a desert. He performed shows on autopilot, almost like a hologram of himself, just to keep the income source flowing for everyone around him.
Right, Karen, and that's where the spicy debate I love comes in. Is his legacy sustainable or just nostalgia fueled by marketing? Today, people kill for likes and vanity metrics, but Elvis had the genuine recognition of changing global culture. However, the sustainability of his own life went down the drain. He was a genius at brand leveraging, but a failure at maintaining his own mental and physical health. It's the classic won at life but lost his soul. What do you prefer, being an isolated billionaire or having balanced growth? Let us know in the comments if you'd trade your peace for the throne of Memphis.
Good one, Daniel. And speaking of investment, his greatest move was the character. The personality he projected was so strong it created an independence from reality itself. He became a myth. For those wanting to apply this today, it's about building a personal branding so solid that it outlives you. Watch Baz Luhrmann's Elvis. The rapid montage shows how accelerated progress without control turns into a snowball effect.
And Elvis is Alive is the biggest after-sales case in history. The multiplying of his value after 1977 is a case study for anyone interested in finance and image management. He stopped being a singer and became an institution. But here's the warning: an increase in fame without self-awareness is an invitation to the abyss. There's no point in having millions if you can't look in the mirror without seeing a stranger.
Exactly. Elvis's ultimate result was immortality, but the cost was his humanity. He is the perfect example that success without internal purpose is a golden trap. So we conclude this analysis and we understand how this legend was fabricated. Daniel, I believe our conversation here revealed secrets that many preferred to keep buried in Graceland.
So, are you going to keep being just a spectator of someone else's glory? Or will you finally take leadership of your own story? Elvis had the world, but lost himself because he lacked the discipline to set boundaries. Who is your Colonel Parker today? Is it your fear, your laziness, or that social circle that just drains you?
It's time to stop living on autopilot and find your true purpose. If the king were here, he'd tell you that the greatest success isn't in the Cadillacs, but in the self-awareness that frees you from the approval of others. Comment below, what city are you watching this awakening from? And what is your biggest obstacle to independence right now?
Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell, because the next profile is going to blow your mind even more. Oh, and if you want to build your own empire, check the Lego link in the first comment. After all, if you don't build your life block by block, someone else will make a diorama out of you.